Aston Villa, third place, 3 points off Arsenal, 10 wins in 11 for them now. They're in particularly good form. And Unai Emery's team, not only grinding out results, but finding themselves behind quite often and still having the spirit to fight back, Crook.
Yeah, I mean, that was a stunning victory for Aston Villa because you were quite sweet on them. I wasn't so much because I saw them play in Europe in midweek. They made harder work of that Basel game than maybe they should have done. Admittedly, he made 8 changes. But I just keep thinking with Villa, the squad isn't that deep. Obviously, the players they've signed in the summer, Harvey Elliott's not getting a look in. Jadon Sancho was really disappointing in midweek and doesn't start games in the Premier League. So they're pretty much reliant on the same players they had last season, barring the likes of Asensio and Rashford, who went back to their parent clubs. So at some point, I expect Villa to implode or to hit a wall, as Dean Ashton has this festive period. But fair play to them. There's no sign of that happening. And to come from behind twice and win it with a brilliant goal from Morgan Rogers, I think tells you all about their strength of character. Obviously, the next game for them is Manchester United at home. As a United fan, I'm already planning on watching that one from behind the sofa if possible, because they're the one team in the minute, probably them and City, and I'd actually put Villa ahead of City in this. You don't want to be playing at this moment in time because they just keep winning and they keep finding different ways to win.
Do you know what? It's really interesting because I think you've gone through the same process that I've gone through, which is I watched Aston Villa a lot in Europe. I did them a couple of times for the television. I've been deployed to Villa Park and other places with talkSPORT, and I'd seen a lot of them. They don't create that many chances. The tempo in games is quite slow occasionally, especially in those European games on a Thursday night. They're bad starters to matches. They concede odd goals when they shouldn't. And they rely a lot on high tariff, long range efforts, which get them out of jail every now and again. But they always come up with something to get them the 3 points. Now, what impresses me about this, Dean Ashton, is that I don't think now, having assessed them over a longer period of time, that they're even at their best yet. So when they do get into their stride and they start playing as well as I think they can, because I do think there's some really talented players there. By the way, Tielemans was a really big miss, and now he's back in the team. I think it just completely alters the whole picture, especially when he's playing higher up and playing those vertical passes. They're going to be a massive force. So I still think there's more to come from them.
I do as well. And Ollie Watkins obviously is back amongst the goals, but certainly not firing the way he has done and he can do. So that's another positive. And I wonder whether they might still do a little bit in January. I don't know what Crook thinks, but I just think, is there an opportunity like they did last season to maybe bring in, another striker on loan with a World Cup looming who wants to play and have European football that Aston Villa will have after Christmas. I just wonder whether there'll be a few reinforcements. But we're talking about the long range efforts, and you're right. You wonder when that'll eventually sort of dry up. But I actually think that is part of what they're trying to do. You talk about the slow build up, and it does. But as they get towards the second half of games, that ramps up in terms of the speed and the way they switch it. But it's all very small, and it gets a bit, draws the defence back, and then they've got the opportunity to strike. It's rare that you will score goals from distance if you are under severe pressure. So a lot of these goals are coming because they've created that space on the edge of the area. The player has time to get his head up and strike the ball properly, and they've got great technicians that can do it.
Yeah, and the way they strike the ball from the edge of the area is obviously something they've worked on, because if you looked at the way that the free kick that Rodgers scored came about the other week, they'd obviously been working on that knuckleball technique where it goes up and down really quickly. And if you look at his goal yesterday, the technique he uses to strike the ball means that there's so much wobble in the air that the goalkeeper finds it very difficult to read the flight of the ball. So by the time it's left his foot, and because he's hit it with power and it's moving all over the place, the goalkeeper can't react quick enough to deal with it. And then it's in the back of the net, and all of a sudden they've won the game. And West Ham once again find themselves on the back end of a bad result. Okay, let's talk about the other big questions then that I mentioned, right? Is the Salah slot truce real? Liverpool won the game against Brighton at the weekend. Ekitike, superb technique. I think he's a terrific footballer. But the big questions all around Mo Salah, who had to come off the bench when Joe Gomez was injured. At the end of the game, Salah, slot, everything's okay. We all love each other. Everything's fine. Apart from the fact that Salah was crying walking around Anfield. Not that many people have mentioned that, but that was going on as well. So what's happening? Is the Salah slot truce real, Crook?
Well, I certainly don't think we've heard the end of the story. I described it on Saturday as an uneasy truce. I think that is the case. I'm not convinced that Mo Salah has apologised to his manager for those comments. I don't believe that he's changed his opinion. I think he still feels harshly treated at the start of the season based on what he's done in the past. And I still sense that if Liverpool get a decent offer from Saudi in the January transfer window, then maybe they'll consider it. I think what they want is Mo Salah to tell them that he wants to leave and to present them with options as opposed to them actively seeking to sell. Obviously, he's going to be out of sight, out of mind now because he's off to play for Egypt to the African Cup of Nations. But is Mo Salah going to get the regular starts that he obviously wants when he gets back from that tournament? If Ekitike and Isak are fully fit, then I think the answer is probably no.
Dean?
I actually think that there has been a bit of a truce. I know he walked around a bit, kind of on his own around the pitch and certainly clapped the supporters. There wasn't, for me, much discontent with his teammates. There was a lot of love there for Salah. There was a lot of love between him and the supporters that I think he really would have felt, because I'm sure he would have been turning up to Anfield thinking, having listened to what the supporters were like with Trent, whether he would get some similar treatment, and it was the opposite. It was almost like they went over the top to support him, and I'm just not sure where he is actually going to go, who's actually going to take him, and I wonder whether, I just think he'll come back and he'll have to fit back in, and it's not going to take much, is it, for him to get to a level where you're going to start him anyway because he's your best player.
It's the working back, isn't it? And he did a little bit of that, I think, on Saturday as well. Next question. Can someone tell me who Maresca's outburst at the weekend helps? Crook?
Probably nobody, but maybe Maresca in the eyes of the supporters, because judging by the reaction on social media, I think they see this as a manager frustrated with the owners and the model and the way the club is run. I think a lot of Chelsea fans, you included, have been saying that for some time. Even Scott Minto, who is more of a glasses half full than half empty man than you when it comes to Chelsea, he knows that they need some experience in there. He doesn't necessarily like the rotation policy, Maresca making so many changes, seemingly under pressure from the board to do so that all these expensive youngsters they've signed can add to their value. I think this is the first sign of Maresca getting a bit frustrated and pushing back. Long term, it's probably a fight that he can't win, but certainly short term, he's won the hearts of the Chelsea supporters because he's proving he's not a yes man.
Okay, so it's okay for me, for Scott Minto, for Olivia Bazaglo, for Joe Cole, for John Terry to say they need more experience. We all accept that is probably something that they're going to need if they want to win the league. But in reality, Enzo Maresca signed on the dotted line knowing the model of this football club. And he's an employee. He is the one who answers ultimately to the owners. The owners are the one who have set the agenda, rightly or wrongly. And we can disagree with them. We do. I agree that they need experienced hands. And I think all those people that I just mentioned, all Chelsea fans or ex-Chelsea players, all believe that they need experience. But we all know that the club agenda is not set in that manner. They want just younger players because they want resale value. And Enzo Maresca has been told that. He would have known that when he first went through the door. So why is he now bringing it up? Dean?
I've been thinking about it, and I just... Is there something else we're kind of missing out on? Why 48 hours? Why that specific timeline? What is it within those 48 hours that's either been said or not said to Enzo Maresca that's made him have this outburst? I think Crook's probably right in that it's a play to show the supporters who are frustrated too of his frustrations, but I just wonder, can it be something else? The timeline for me irks me a bit as to why he wants to talk about the last 48 hours and it being the worst of his time. That's quite a big statement to say that.
And also, there's two other things here. One, they've just managed to get a win for the first time in 3 games after some difficult performances. Cole Palmer is back and scoring goals. They've got over the line with another clean sheet, by the way, in a game where, let's be honest, Everton had some good opportunities, maybe not clear-cut chances, but had some good opportunities, especially before Chelsea got their second goal. And then the negativity comes after what is a positive. And I don't understand why you would do that. You're bringing the mood down when you really should be lifting it. They go to Cardiff Tuesday night. They're playing the Carabao Cup quarterfinal live on talkSPORT. Why would you want to do that? I don't understand it. Also, the PR play. Yeah, okay, I get it. It's a PR play. But this is a football club that didn't want him to start his own Instagram account because they don't want someone to be bigger than the club. They fell out with Pochettino because the supporters started to think that maybe Pochettino was the figurehead. They don't want that. Egbali wants to be the one who is the superstar at this football club. He's running the joint. He's pulling the strings. They don't want a superstar manager, which is why they appointed Enzo Maresca in the first place. So if he's trying to win the hearts and minds of the Chelsea supporters, then that's going to fly in the face of the way that the club want to operate, isn't it, Crook?
Yes, and we saw it with Pochettino when he started pushing back, and I think in particular over the future of Conor Gallagher, he very quickly paid the price with his job, and I think Egbali was the driving force behind that change of manager. So you're absolutely right. If Maresca has gone to war with him, then probably long term there's only going to be one winner.
Crook, could this be anything? Could this be anything to do with the January transfer window coming up?
Yeah,
and him
yeah,
him wanting a certain profile of player to push for the second half of the season.
Absolutely, because I think last summer he would have liked one or two more experienced players, particularly the heart of that defence, which I still think looks vulnerable. Everton had some good chances, as you've mentioned, the weekend. In fact, both Chelsea's goals came at a time when they were second best in the game, and then Everton had a couple of golden chances, particularly the Grealish one that he put across the face of goal in the second half. So yeah, this could be Enzo Maresca getting his ducks in a row ready for January, but I don't think the model's going to change. I think they're wedded to it, the Chelsea hierarchy. So I think, again, if he is hoping for a bit of experience through the door, I think he's going to be disappointed.